All right. Hey, everyone, and welcome back to Be a Warrior podcast. I'm your host, Angie, and I am grateful that you are here. Thank you for coming back. If you are a listener or a watcher on YouTube, and if you're new here, thank you for coming. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, especially if you know someone who could benefit from something that maybe is more uplifting and informational, especially for an amputee. All right. This week, as as I start getting through the week here, I'm realizing that the holidays are upon us. Things are getting kind of crazy. And I know that feel like I'm pulled in a million different directions. I don't know about you, but I love the holidays. And every year I think this is the year I'm going to pull back a little bit, really enjoy the moments and not get carried away. Yeah, not this year. Already in full swing of everything, overbooked and going to be overly tired. So we're going to go ahead and get into this because I think this is a very good time to discuss getting started. Obviously, if you've been listening to any of my podcasts over the last 5.5 years, you will know that at the end of every year, I do a thing that says, I don't believe in New Year's resolutions. I don't, because when you tag New Year's resolutions on something, it's going to fail. I'm sorry. Very few of us actually get through our New Year's resolutions. We have good forethought and we're thinking that this is the year I'm going to turn over a new leaf. Well, I'm going to tell you that today is that day. Don't wait for the holidays to get through. Don't wait for life to slow down, because you know what? Life never slows down. If you are anything like me, there's always the next thing, the next thing, and the next thing. Some of that is on me. I will admit that I like to have my schedule stacked. Downtime for me is like I do nothing. I'm all or nothing. So if there is downtime, I do nothing. So I like to stay busy because I feel better about myself at the end of the day, and I'm tired, and that's a good feeling to be tired because you were working. Getting started. I have a couple quotes I'm going to throw your way because I think this is very important. So bear with me. I think these are really, really, really good. First one is, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. And that is by Zig Ziglar, and is true. If you think of anybody that's really good at what they're doing, like I always think of my husband's job. When he talks about what he does now, especially with the boys that are in business and stuff and land, it's like talking over my head. I have no idea. I'm like, I could never do that. But I suppose if I had as many years in the business that he had, then I probably would understand a heck of a lot more. I'm not dumb by any means. I just am not educated in his field. Just like he wouldn't know that much about being around horses and how certain things they do indicate what's going to come and happen next. And so it just is about getting started. So if you want to start a new job, you're going to start at the ground zero with not a lot of information, right? And you go in and we call it the bell curve. It's really hard at the beginning, but then it kind of smooths out and you will get there. But with anything, any athlete didn't become great or a professional overnight. They spent years playing that sport, dedicating time, getting up, practicing, practicing, practicing. And what set them above the rest is they got started right away. And that might be on a daily basis, not right away in their life at 3 or 4 years old, but maybe every day their intentions are to get up and get started, to train to be better than they were the day before. Another great quote here by Mark Twain: "The secret to getting ahead is getting started." Again, nothing great will happen for you if you don't just get started. And I will confess, I have had a lot of ideas swirling in my head the past 5 years of things I really want to do and become and start, that I have been afraid to start because I want to be great at it before I start. And that doesn't, like, you guys, if you've been listening to me, you know that half the time, that no, 90% of the time I'm talking to myself with my messages. This one digs deep into the heart of it. This is me being very exposing myself. But there are a lot of things that I really want to do, but I don't want to just start at it and muddle through it and figure it out. I want to be great at it before I start it so I don't make a fool of myself, so to speak. And I'm going to stop doing that. I need to stop doing that. I need to decide what I really want to commit to and go at it knowing that I will learn through the bumps and the bruises along the way. That's the only way to learn something new, is to start at the bottom and learn and work your way up. And so you get better and better and better the more time and more effort you put in. And finally, this one, I think, besides the other two, they do hit home as an amputee. And yes, I'm going to bring this back around to amputee life, trust me. But this one by Arthur Ashe, if you guys remember Arthur Ashe, tennis player who's passed away, start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. All right, this goes right to the heart of an amputee. So I'm going to go with that one right now. When you become an amputee, there can be multiple things heading through your brain, depending on the type of person you are. Some of you will come in and say, I'll never do this again. I'll never do that again. My life is going to be a complete mess. I don't even know if this is the right move because I'm going to be worse off. Okay. And you don't have faith that you can do more than you know you could do. And then there are others that are like, I'm going to do this, 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 this. I'm going to make it. It's going to be better. I'm going to be strong. I'm going to be capable. And those people will probably succeed because they're already in the right mental space. But that doesn't mean we can't fail when we have success in our brain. And it doesn't mean we won't succeed if we have failure in the brain. It is all about starting where you're at with what you have right now. Okay, that's what he said. Start where you are. Okay, you might be in a hospital bed right now. You might be healing from your amputation right now. You might be fitting your socket right now. You might be in the trust phase of learning to walk in your socket, in your leg right now. Use what you have. Right now, if you aren't walking, use what you have. What can you do where you're at right now? You cannot tell me that life is only worth living once you get your prosthetic. That is the only time that A, you are living your life, B, that you can make a difference in the world, or C, be the best person you can be. You can't tell me that walking indicates that or dictates that. So you can do what you want with what you have right now, and then do what you can. So if you are laying in a hospital bed recovering, there are only going to be some things you can do right there in that moment. I remember this summer when I was back in the hospital bed healing from my surgery, my goals there were to set my goals, start getting things figured out, lining up my appointments, trying to figure out exactly how to intertwine insurance being recorded and the given the okay by my doctor to get fitted and lining it up with the schedule to be fitted with my prosthetist. I wasn't waiting on anybody to tell me it was time. I was having everything ready. If my surgeon said in 6 weeks you'll be ready, I was at my prosthetist calling him going, all right, I might be in Boston, but in 6 weeks he said I should be ready. And sure enough, it was actually at 4 weeks. And so I was able to get in even earlier because my prosthetist knew that I was going to be ready around that time. That's what I could do with what I had right then and there. And that was setting me up for success. Yeah. And so you might be right now struggling to find a prosthetist or a good fitting socket. And if that's the case, what can you be doing now? Well, I guess it also depends on what your goals are. If your goal is to get to hiking, all right, let's just even go back. Let's say your goal is to just start walking around the neighborhood with your prosthetic. Okay. But you don't even have a good fitting socket. Right now, what can you be doing? Well, things that I would be doing is one, figuring out how to make sure my appointments are on track, that I am looking for prosthetists that can help me, and staying on top of that. I never waited around for the call. I was the one going, can I come in to see you? What's your earliest? What's your earliest? Don't wait for somebody else to remember you. You're living your life. They have a job. You need to actually get on them and say, I need to see you now. So you stay on that. Also, when you're not in a socket and walking, your muscles are getting tired and fatigued much earlier. And when you first put on that prosthesis, you are going to struggle because it's going to feel like it's a lead weight on your body. And it is going to be, you're going to realize how much your muscles are taxed. So start working on some muscle strength. I put bands around my residual limb, and I, can lay off my bed and pull my limb back to stretch it, but then I can also keep my arm back there and lift my limb up and start working on my hip flexor, because your hip flexor needs to be strong. Your butt needs to be strong to move your prosthesis when you start walking again. So those are the things you can do with what you're at and doing right now. But really, all in all, if we don't just take the leap and get started, then one, we'll never know what we can do. Two, we'll never see how great we can become. And three, it's going to put us in a place where we aren't ourselves, that we aren't feeling great about ourselves. And then you go into a vicious cycle of talking negative about yourself and wishing for things that you can't get. And really, it's all in our own power. It depends on how strong of a will you have to follow through with the things you want in life. And so I'm going to charge you guys today with getting started today. What is it that you have been dreaming of doing, or what is it that you're at in your life that you want to, what's the next step? What's your goal? So if it is to walk again, start listing things. This is your call to action this week. Start listing all the things you need to do to get to your goal, and what can you do today. Number one, starting today, you can start making that game plan. That's a start. But even better yet, start the physical action of what you want to start accomplishing and becoming better at. And I'll tell you, and I've said this over and over again, but I truly lived by it. When I was first getting my socket and I got my first prosthesis, it was hard to walk. It really was. I set really high goals thinking, oh, I can walk 2 miles. And I could barely get to the end of the block without it being, is so exhausting. I have been there. I know how weak my muscles became. And yet I didn't know any better. I didn't know that that's what it was going to be like or feel like. I am telling you from my experience what you can avoid, because it's going to happen to you. If you go like the couple months while you're healed without anything on your leg that you just took off, like 10 pounds of flesh, putting anything on your leg after a couple months is going to feel so much heavier. So work on that, because that will assist you in getting to walking better, quicker, and being stronger. But the idea is to constantly keep doing it. So when I first started, I could barely get to the end of the block and back. Because you remember, whenever you go out, you got to come back, right? That's what my husband always says. Like, if you're really tired now, you probably should turn around, because you still have to get all the way back to where we started. And I'm like, nope, I'm going to go till I'm just spent enough. And then I'll turn back, and then I will have to dig deep and find out what I'm made of. Because that's kind of my mentality. I like to go out as far as I can and then do the turnaround and find out what is deep inside of me that can get me through a hard task. That grit builds resilience, and then at the end, it makes you feel amazing. Like there's nothing that can beat exceeding your own body's expectations. So you start setting these goals up. But what I did when I struggled even to get to the end of the block, the first thing I did is I joined a virtual challenge, and it was 175 miles in like 3 months. And I was like calculating it out. How many months, how many days will that be? Okay, divide that up by that many miles. How many miles do I have to do a day? And that's where I came up at the one time with like 2 miles a day. And I was like, oh, I could totally do that. And then the first day I was like, I can't even go a quarter of a mile. And then the second, which then of course then calculates more miles to do on the other days if I couldn't hit my 2 miles this day. And the next day was similar. And the next day was similar. The next day, I think I went like a little further, a few more houses further out of my community. And I kept building and building and building. And I hit those goals. The first one I hit probably a week late, but it was on my own timeline. They gave you a timeline, but I was about a week afterwards. And then I did 2 more like that. That's how I built my strength. And did I start by achieving 175 miles? No, I started with barely able to walk in my house, to walking just to the end of the block, to achieving, I think I have about 25 virtual medals now, ranging from anywhere from 175-mile races to 5Ks and everything in between. And that's how I got used to my prosthesis and my socket, and that's how I built strength. So I started with barely able to walk in a prosthesis to walking everywhere and feeling really, really confident in my prosthesis to the point where I can carry big items in front of my legs and I don't see where my step is, but I know it's there and I can walk. I never thought I'd ever see that day either. And so that's what starting can do for you. It's the baby steps, but it's still the start. And if you don't start today and you say, I'll start tomorrow, and I am guilty, I have been there, that goes into, I'll start the next day. This got built up. Oh, I'm really busy today. I'll start the next day. I'll start the next day. And then you blink and it's been a year and you are no closer to the goal that you wanted. And then you feel bad about yourself and you go into this horrible cycle of putting yourself down, feeling like a loser, and disappointed with your follow through. So get started today. Your call to action is put together a game plan. Tell yourself, give yourself one goal, something you totally want to do. Don't muddle it up with 1,000 goals. Pick one thing you really want to get to. And what is it going to take starting today? And you have to modify, because I don't know where you're at, because you can be from anywhere in a hospital bed to, already a marathoner. So what is the next goal? What is it what do you want to be great at? And you haven't done it yet because you have been afraid to start, or you have kept putting it off. Like me, I'm afraid to start and I'm putting it off. I need to stop doing those things and I need to set aside some goals. So I will promise you today that I am going to start my goal today. I have thoughts in my head. I'm going to go and I'm going to write them down. I'm going to start deciding how I'm going to implement, and I'm going to start today. And we're going to do this together. So remember that the secret to getting ahead is getting started. Mark Twain. Great advice. We can't get ahead if we're not going to start. So get started, be humble, be kind on yourself, have grace, and understand that even on the best goals, there is a setback. You might have something that comes up that you can't muster the energy, especially if you're in the healing process of being an amputee. You need to maybe pull back on a day because you had a bad medicine day or a bad pain day. And that is understandable. Just don't let it get away from you. Continue to rise and grind, because that's what warriors do. And I know each one of you has a warrior inside of you. So let's all get this going. Let's start this. I would love to hear what it is that you have been procrastinating on that you are starting today. So reach out to me, DM me, check out my Instagram at BAWarrior360. Follow me, reach out, let me know what you're trying to set as a goal, and let's do this together. Sometimes we need an accountability partner. I can be that for you. I'm here. So I'm here. I'm listening. I hope you have a beautifully blessed week. Have an amazing holiday coming up. We've got Thanksgiving right around the corner. And until then, be healthy, be happy, be you.